then UP, then quality, and after all, the sustainable technology, that is rooftop rainwater harvesting, in which we are expertise. So we know water is one of the most important things for human existence. A human body itself contains about 70% of the water. So without water, our survival is not possible. And if we talk about India, it is home to 16% of world's population, but has only 2.5% of world's land, with 4% of world's water resources at its disposal. And uh, if we talk about precipitation, we get it in the form of rainfall and snowfall, which is about 4,000 trillion liters of fresh water to India. But most of the fresh water returns into seas and oceans via rivers flowing all across the subcontinent. So in this slide, we see the water requirements.
Actually, one minute. Your presentation is not shareable. You start your screen, present screen now.
Wait a second. No.
Again, you have to come on the main screen where, yes, now it is starting sharing. Yes. Yes, now it is visible. Yes, please proceed.
So this is the overview of my presentation. Coming on to the introduction, we know water is one of the most important things for human existence, and about human body itself contains about 70% of the water, and without water, human existence is not possible. And India is coming on to the India. It is home to world 16% of 16% of world's population, which and with 2.5% of world's land, but has only 4% of world's water resources at its disposal. And we receive precipitation in the form of rainfall and snowfall, which is about 4,000 trillion liters of fresh water to India. But most of the fresh water returns back to seas and ocean via large rivers flowing all across the subcontinent. Now coming on to the water requirements by the different sectors in India. This is the data from Central Groundwater Authority. In 2010, you see the requirement was 688 billion cubic meter per year. For drinking purpose, it was 56, and for industry, it was 12, and for energy, it was 5, and rest 52. So the irrigation contains about it contained about 85%, and for drinking water it was 7, and similarly for industrial it was 5%. You see the drastic increase in the water requirements by the different sectors in 2025, and in 50 it was estimated as follows. Now I have talked about this pointer that 85% was irrigation, 7, 5, and 3 are domestic, industrial, and energy respectively. The water demand has been increasing at a high pace in past few decades, and from the period of 1960 to 2013, the India's per capita availability of water has reduced from 4,100 to 1,472 cubic meters, which has shifted India's status from water adequate to water stressed region. Now the groundwater scenario in Indian subcontinent. India's water potential is about 1869 billion cubic meters per year, but out of which only 1123 billion cubic meters is usable. and surface water is 690, whereas groundwater is 433 billion cubic meters per year, and out of 433, 35 goes into the natural discharge and thus the net annual groundwater availability of India is 398 billion cubic meters per year. Now we have only 398 billion cubic meters, but dependency on groundwater is so large in India that about 90% of the groundwater is used for irrigation purpose in for irrigating our agriculture fields in India, and about 80% of India's population is highly dependent on the groundwater, and our green revolution was also based on the groundwater. Due to this groundwater only, there was a 25% increase in the 25% growth in the agriculture sector. Now the groundwater distribution, we all know about generally what groundwater is. Now the groundwater development, it is the ratio of annual groundwater extraction to the net groundwater availability. It generally it indicates the quality of groundwater available for use. And based on the groundwater development, the comparative status of India has been segmented into 4 parts, that is safe, semi-critical, critical, and overexploited. If the groundwater development lies between 0 to 70, it is considered to be safe. For semi-critical, it is 70 to 90%, and for critical, it is 90 to 100%. And for the overexploited, it is more than 100%. And the groundwater distribution, groundwater development. For the following, the number of districts that comes in safe are 4520 districts, and for semi-critical 681, critical 253, and for the overexploited it's 1024 districts. Now the groundwater scenario of UP, the hydrogeology of the UP can be divided into 5 parts, that is Bhabar, Tarai, Central Ganga Plains, marginal alluvial plains, and southern peninsular range. In the and Kanpur lies in this Central Ganga plain. If we move from north to south, the northern part of UP comes under the Bhabar. Similarly, then Tarai, then Central Ganga plain, and the Bundelkhand region lies in southern peninsular plains. Wait a second, it's not moving. Next slide. Sorry for the technical glitch. The slide is not moving. Wait, sir. Sir, can you see the slide? Next slide.
Hello, yes, sir, it is visible.
Wait. Not going back. Some problem. Here. Okay. Now for the UP, the dynamic groundwater resources are as follows. The annual replenishable groundwater resource is about 77.19 billion cubic meters, and net annual groundwater availability is 71.66 billion cubic meters. The annual groundwater draft is 52.78, and the stage of groundwater development in UP is 74%. We will further in next slides we will talk about Kanpur. The groundwater water development and management The overexploited regions are 101 blocks, semi-critical are 82, and critical are 68. This was given in Model Bill 2005. It was proposed by the Government of India. Now, this is the in this slide you can see the map of Kanpur. The various blocks have been shown in the figure. You see this Chaubepur, it lies in overexploited region, whereas we lie in Kalyanpur. It is said to be safe, but in the recent, according to the recent data of UP Groundwater Board, Kanpur city is comes under the overexploited region. You can see the yearly trend, declining trend of the groundwater table. If we talk about this Kanpur Nagar, Shivrajpur and Kalyanpur, the annual declining trend is 1 to 10 centimeter per year, and for the Chaubepur and Bidnu, it's about it's between 10 to 20. And similarly, if we talk about this Patara is declining very rapidly. It's more than 60 centimeters per year. And for the Kanpur Dehat, you see Sarvankhera, Derapur, Rajpur, and Sandalpur. All these are declining very fast rate at a very fast pace of more than 60 centimeter per year. You see this is the overexploited region. It is shown Kanpur city and Chaubepur. In this table, if you look for this Kanpur city, this is the new stage of groundwater extraction. Earlier, in 2012, it was about 70, but in 2017, this is the data from 2017, it's about 79.24. 9% increase has been seen in 3 to 4 years. And this is the table showing groundwater recharge for monsoon and non-monsoon season. This is the total availability of groundwater and current annual groundwater extraction for the various cities, and we are focusing mainly on Kanpur. So this is the data. And again for the Kanpur, it's here. This is the specific yield is about 12%, and the static groundwater resource is 56,18,589, and the thickness of the groundwater table has been shown. Now now we have talked about the groundwater quantity. Now we will talk about the groundwater quality in UP. You see salinity. If we talk about salinity, these are the districts which are most affected. That is Agra, Hathras, and Mathura. For the fluoride, these are Agra, Aligarh, Etah, Firozabad, Jaunpur, Kannauj, Mahamayanagar, Mainpuri, Mathura, Mundad, Bhajan. These are the districts which are most affected. We all know that fluoride causes fluorosis, so it is a very acute problem. Similarly, for fluorine and iron, these are the districts. And in Kanpur, some areas of Kanpur, we see iron is prominent contaminant, and for arsenic, these are the new district. And for arsenic, it is not clear with the agencies that it is geogenic or it is this contamination is anthropogenic till now. And for the nitrate, it is heavily affecting a number of districts. See, and these were the problems related to quantity and quality of the groundwater. Now, talking about the sustainable technologies, rooftop rainwater harvesting is one of the prominent technologies that we can use to replenish the groundwater. So rooftop harvesting is a technique through which we can through which rainwater can be captured from the roof catchment and stored in the reservoir. And harvested rainwater can be stored in subsurface groundwater reservoir by adopting artificial discharge technique to meet the household needs through storage in tanks. The main objective of the rooftop rainwater harvesting is to make water available for future use, capturing and storing the rainwater for use in particularly important dryland, hilly, urban and coastal areas. So now we talk about what is the need of rainwater harvesting. Till now we have seen what have been the possible reasons. The quality and quantity of groundwater is declining day by day, so there is a dire need for such setups to meet the and there are a few more needs to meet the increasing demand of water, to reduce the runoff which chokes storm drains, to avoid flooding of roads, augmented groundwater storage and control decline of water levels, to reduce the groundwater pollution, to remove the improve the quality of groundwater, to reduce the soil erosion, and to supplement domestic water requirement during summer drought area, etc. Now, what are the advantages of rainwater harvesting? It provides self-sufficiency to water supply, reduces the cost of pumping of groundwater. It provides high quality water with soft and low in minerals, improves the quality of groundwater through dilution when discharged to groundwater, reduces soil erosion in urban areas. The rooftop rainwater harvesting is less expensive than other technologies. In hilly terrains, rainwater harvesting is preferred. In saline coastal areas, rainwater provides good quality water when discharged to groundwater. It reduces the salinity and also helps in maintaining balance between the fresh saline water interface. In island, due to limited extent of fresh water aquifers, rainwater harvesting is the most preferred source of water for domestic use. In desert, where rainfall is low, rainwater harvesting has been providing relief to the people. So now we come to the designing part of the rainwater harvesting system. So first of all, before installing the rainwater harvesting system, we should know how much water we can collect through this system. So generally we adopt 80% of the collection efficiency and 20% is the loss. And we must know the rainfall reliability, means the average rainfall and the rainfall intensity at a particular place before providing the setup of rainwater harvesting at our premises. So the total quantity of water that can be collected is calculated by the following formula. First of all, we should know the rooftop area in square meters. The average monsoon rainfall, for Kanpur, it is about 820 820 centimeter per year. This is average, and 80% is the collection efficiency. Now, for the designing of rooftop rainwater harvesting, we follow IS 15797. In this table, we can see the rooftop area has been given in the second column, and this is the average rainfall in the x-axis, and this through this we can calculate the water availability in meter cube at a particular area. Now the components of rooftop rainwater harvesting. First, it is catchment, then gutter, conveyance, first flush separator, filtration, and storage. You can see in this diagram over here, different part have been labeled. Now, talking about the catchment is the surface from which the rainwater is collected for storage. This could be the rooftop of paved flooring surface or a landscape area. Catchment area is the area of that surface usually calculated in square meter, that we know. The gutters and downtake pipes are they lead the water from catchment to the storage tank, and the filters and first flush devices are provided because the water may contain leaves, dirt, which may clog our system. So first flush system is provided, and also dissolved air pollutants are also present in the first rain. The storage tanks are provided, which may be above or below the ground. So coming on to the design steps, we must know the collection capacity that we have calculated in the earlier slide. Then calculation of size of filters, calculation size of trench, and size of bore for recharge. Now we'll know about it in the next slides. And for the sizing of rainwater pipes for roof drainage, the data has been can be seen from the code SP35 that we follow in our industry. This is the size of diameter of the pipe that we have to adopt according to the average rainfall and the roof of the area that has been given in this table. And this is the technical design of rooftop rainwater harvesting and artificial recharge to groundwater. This is in the first column, that is A. The area of the rooftop in square meters is given. This is the highest rainfall intensity in column B. It is given for 0.25. It is given for the state of Delhi. This data is from Central Groundwater Board, and the runoff coefficient is 8, and runoff per hour has been calculated by multiplying columns A, B, and C, and the annual runoff is given over here by calculating A into 0.54 into C, and 0.54 is the average rainfall of Delhi. Like we have to if we have to calculate for Kanpur, then it instead of 0.84, it would be 0.82, and rainfall intensity it ranges from 0.035 to 0.45 from place to place in Kanpur, and generally we take 0.04. So this is the size of the recharge structure. We'll see in the further next slides, in the further drawings. So this is the diagram for the rooftop area up to 100 square meters. It's been given here. The size of trench that we take is 1 meter by 0.5 meter, and the bore size is 4 inches. This is the plan, and this is the cross-sectional view of this drawing. And we provide pea gravel coarse sand, gravel, and boulders, and the pipe is slotted at two places. Here at the filter, where we provide filter, and at the last, and in the end we provide a ball plug. And the total depth of the boring is about 50 to 100 feet, but here in industry we take about 100 feet of boring, and we provide the filter same as prescribed in Central Groundwater Board this board report. So this is the cross-sectional view, and for the rooftop area between 100 to 200 square meter, the trench size has been increased by 5.5 meter, and rest it's the same, you can see. And one thing we have to focus on this, we have to provide air vent so that gravity flow must take place, and not capillary action should not be there. And other thing is that pea gravel that we miss. And similarly for 200 to 300 and 300 to 400, the size of the trench has been increased. And for 300 to 400, one additional provision has been made, that is desilting chamber of 0.5 into 1 meter has been provided, so that our system does not clog, and the silts and the gut that is coming with the water settles down over here, and a free flow passage is provided. So and for the rooftop area between 400 to 500 square meter, we follow this drawing, that the silting chamber size and the trench size has been given. The trench is about 1.5 meter to 1.5 meter, and the desilting chamber is 1.5 to 5 meter, and all other things are similar. And these are the pea gravel, and these are found if we see the areas like Rishikesh and Haridwar, we can find out the gravels, those gravels which are found on the banks of river Ganga are similar. These are the pea gravel, and this is our drawing we have installed in one of the industries. We generally follow we generally make desilting chambers because it has a better efficiency, whether we are constructing it for 100 square meter or less. And the bore size we take is generally 6 inches, so that our system does not clog. So this is how you design. So that's all from my side. If there are any queries, you may ask.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So actually there is one query. Roof or top of RWH, when it is allowed to go to groundwater, there is a possibility of how stored the foundation gets stored in water. Most of the times when water is getting recharged, will it not cause harm to bearing capacity of soil and foundation gets affected and building life comes down?
So, actually, what this is an engineered structure. We are providing all. We are providing this boring, and we are providing. You can see over here. We are providing these peak gravels, and so the efficiency of absorption of water, the efficiency of transfer of water in the strata is quite high. So we won't see the dampening and all these issues, and the bearing capacity of soil will not be less.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable knowledge about this topic. And I will share your email with the participants so that they can ask directly to you.
Okay.
Okay. Sir, do you want to continue or you have finished?
Now I have finished.
Okay, so you have
Uh,
finished it.
and if any of your students or final year or third year students want to do their final year project regarding environmental engineering, so our company help them out. They can you can share my mail ID or company's mail ID. They can contact me after the lunch timing, that is 2 p.m. Will definitely help them out if they require any guidance regarding their final year project on environmental. We deal in air pollution, water pollution, and solid waste management.
Okay, sir, I will surely share your ID to all our students.
So,
Okay,
thank
sir.
you.
So wait for a while, sir.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible? So there are some
Yes, sir.
questions. There are questions from the participants. Uh, he's saying rooftop rainwater harvesting when it is allowed to. Okay. Some more questions are there. So what I will do, I will send them on your email ID, and I will share
Okay.
your email ID also to the participants, and then they
Okay.
will ask directly. So now
Okay.
I would request you to please stop your screen sharing so that I can present something for you.
Okay.
Yes. Now, it is opening. Now it is visible.
Yes, sir.
So it is a token of gratitude from us. Please
Thank
accept and and very much thank you very much for your time and for your presentation. And we all liked it very much. And we will invite you in person in our institute when this COVID situation will be end up. Okay.
you.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for Priyanshu ji for your presentation. Thank you very much.